Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to present my master thesis since I interviewed, and I'm very thankful that I got to interview a lot of the researchers within the co-creation labs. So I'm very curious about your thoughts also on these results. And yes, I did my master thesis last year, so spring 2022. And the title is Identity Frames in Knowledge Co-Creation. Facilitators for sustainability transformations. And just to give a quick background, I'm sure many of you already know a lot about this, but co-creation of knowledge is about to co-produce knowledge about the issue and maybe the solution also. It involves diverse actors into research, so different actors from the society that are concerned with the issues. And therefore it can be seen as a bridge between science and societal actors. And hopefully new ideas can emerge from these meetings. And something that is important within the co-creation is that all perspectives are seen as equally legitimate. And there's also a possibility to create new relationships between actors because you need to build trust in order to make it possible for people to work together. And I looked at the co-creation labs within the MISTRA EC program. And the lab serves as a learning platform where you can experiment with different methodologies in order to reflect about sustainability topics. And you get to explore different types of knowledges and test different ideas. And the goal is shared or openly conflicted understandings of the issue, but also to together explore and test different ideas on the wicked problem. It doesn't necessarily mean that it have to be to solve the issue. So it is a space where new knowledge can emerge and bridge the different types of knowledges. There are very diverse and maybe possibly antagonistic stakeholders within the labs, and all stakeholders serves as co-researchers. And it's facilitated by researchers in Sweden and Australia, and many of you are here today. So what I wanted to look at was how the facilitators frame their role when in the process of co-creation of knowledge in the labs, but also how they create conditions for these diverse and antagonistic stakeholders to actually meet and co-create knowledge together. So I found 3 identity frames: the process expert, the equal knowledge mediator, and the inclusive process leader. And the process expert is about that the facilitator should plan and guide the process in such a way that it's transparent to the participant what they can expect. And that it should be an emerging process that is open and easily to follow for the stakeholders. And the facilitator make this possible by reflect upon the process and are flexible throughout the process to make sure that it is relevant to the stakeholders. And different themes that I saw within this frame was that the facilitator are responsible for guiding this evolving process, and of course over the process design in order to make it relevant, and have to be continuously reflective, both what happens in the group and over their process design. And then it is the equal knowledge mediator that is about equal possibilities for all different kinds of knowledge to take part in the process. And the facilitator make this possible by working towards having the stakeholders to accept that there are actually different types of knowledges, and that there are different ways to look at an issue. And here it's important that the facilitator acknowledge that there are power imbalances, that there are hierarchies among different knowledges, and enable equal participation and open up people to these differences. And together explore these differences. And in this case, the goal is not consensus. They don't have to have the same or come up with like one worldview. And also important to take personal and relational aspects into account. People's personal connection to the issue, that everyone can actually contribute with their personal expertise, but also create activities that help the actors relate to each other. Yes. And then we have the inclusive process leader, which means that the stakeholder should feel safe to express themselves and explore new perspectives. And the facilitator wants everyone to feel included in the process. And the facilitator makes this possible by having a role in creating this safe and creative space where the stakeholder can go outside of their comfort zone. And different themes that I saw then is, of course, the creation of a safe space, and this inclusive conversation where everybody feels included, that the facilitator really need to be attentive to what happens in the group and make the group aware of certain patterns. And that also entails that it should be a inclusive and creative space and process. The facilitator should try to see the person and not the expertise. So are there possibilities for people to actually arrive as themselves, or do they feel like they have to be responsible for a certain perspective or an organization or so? But also vulnerability. So create possibilities to share stories and emotions that can foster a sense of vulnerability, because that will bring people closer to each other and be more open to each other's perspectives. Yeah, and some reflections on these frames is that they the process expert and the equal knowledge mediator goes hand in hand to make the process relevant. In order to be able to make a process relevant for everyone, you have to plan for the activities in a way so it allows for several perspectives to participate and really work actively to let these different perspectives to get an equal amount of space. And the facilitator's role as an inclusive process leader is important in setting a basis for the work in the other two frames. Example, the inclusive process leader creates a safe space, which is needed to enable the equal knowledge mediator to get the stakeholders to share their perspectives and open up for each other's perspectives. But the safe space is also important for the process expert to be able to actually guide them through a successful process, because if they don't feel safe, the process can't really go on. Also, that diversity and creativity is related, that diversity actually leads to creativity. And here the process expert really needs to be flexible and creative when adjusting the process, and really follow the participant. And the knowledge mediator needs to handle power imbalances so the diverse perspectives can occur, because diverse perspectives and unfiltered thoughts can lead to creativity and new insights. Yeah, and some conclusions that I had is that this master thesis highlights the importance of the facilitator's reflective practice. And it could also maybe contribute to the facilitator's reflective practice. It also gives insights of the researcher's role in the co-creation lab. But it would also be really interesting to see more perspectives of the stakeholders and what the stakeholders think is important to make these labs possible, and what should be the facilitator's role in that. Yes. Thank you.